Hello internet friends, welcome back. I am going to talk a little bit today about some of the changes that I've made to the programming, go a little bit more in depth, I hope, and kind of give you guys a little bit better understanding of what I'm trying to accomplish in this training block and kind of where things are moving forward from here. So like I mentioned in the last video, I took away anything that I would consider kind of the assistive equipment, and I think a big issue with my last training block, apart from other things that were kind of outside the training, as far as my preparation for training sessions and my sleep schedule, nutrition issues that I was having, a lot of those other things I've tried to clean up a little bit. But a big part of it is I never had a reset point after my last meet, which I felt was pretty successful and went pretty well according to plan. I noticed that a lot of my training after that, my real total volume, my practice with the lifts themselves, never got a chance to drop down and sort of rebuild a base and have something to draw on later when I got closer and trying to peak for the meet. And so I was really just trying to cram and play catch up, and it's not really possible to do that with this. You have to establish a base of work to draw from so that you can kind of transmute and prepare that into the meet and be ready for it. So your training can't look the same the whole time, and you have to make little adjustments. I am going a little bit back to the basics here in terms of training structure. I really have found in the past that I tend to do the best, I tend to have the most progress, and I tend to benefit the most from putting most of my focus into the competition lifts, and really focusing on bringing up my technical proficiency and consistency with those lifts. I was having some issues at the end of that last training block with not being happy with the way that a lot of the lifts looked. I was sacrificing some positions for momentum, and I'm a big proponent of holding your positions and creating momentum from those better pressing positions or better squatting positions, better pulling positions, because then you're not having to fight against the system that you set up yourself. And so a lot of my focus for at least the beginning of this training block is going to be moving more towards practicing the competition movements with a higher standard of performance, with slightly higher rep ranges. I'm still pretty moderate in my rep range schema. I don't really want to go into sets of 8, 9, 10, 11 or something like that, where I'm going to see either really super easy reps at the beginning of the set where I should just be using more weight to stay more specific, or getting to the end of the set and finding that I'm losing my position just because I'm tired and not necessarily because the weight's heavy enough. I'm a big proponent of practicing at least in a range that's going to challenge you to hold your position. It doesn't do you any good to be doing sets of 20 on these lifts when your purpose is strength gain. So that's kind of something that I'm keeping in my main focus points here. And I am stepping away also from using the deadlift bar. The last few weeks, all these sessions have been done with my stiff bar, which it's not the craziest huge difference in the world, but combining going back to pulling on a stiff bar with a lot higher volumes and not using a belt, it's still pretty challenging, even though I dropped a lot of my training maxes down to facilitate the reacclimation to this non-assistive type training without any kind of equipment that's supposed to be helping me other than maybe some different shoe choices. So total volume is a lot higher than it was in my last training block, but it's a lot closer to where I was in the training block before that, when I was seeing a lot better consistency in my lifts. And I think that's a big thing that I kind of got away from in my last training block, where I was so worried about trying to keep the weights in that higher range to stay ahead of my progress from last time, when really if I would have just taken the reset when I should have, I think I would have been in a better place, and I think my technique would have carried through even with kind of the wave up in intensity. So I think I'm making some better decisions, at least at the start of this training block, and as always, we'll kind of give our best effort and see how it goes, but I definitely feel like I have a better preparatory plan for this. After my main work sets with my sumo pulls, I am going to be adding in some conventional, just because I think this builds for me a little bit more mental toughness. I think it helps me continue to work on my grip strength, and I just don't like pulling conventional, so it's usually a pretty decent sign that it's something that could stand to be worked on and improved. And I think I might need to add a little bit more weight. Getting sets of 10 here is a little bit too many reps, and I start to see some of that fatigue come through a lot more. But at the same time, I think it might be beneficial in these non-competition movements to potentially get a little bit more hypertrophic response. So we'll see how that goes. Going to be hopefully adding in some front squats if I can mentally convince myself it's worth it in the next couple of weeks to try to work on some of my squat weaknesses with the back positioning and my quad strength specifically to keep my hips from shooting back at the bottom of the lift. Bench, the main focus for this is going to be on building my consistency with not allowing my right arm to lag behind. A big part of that strength imbalance comes from an injury from a long time ago, but another part of it comes from my focus and consistency on not letting myself kind of default to tucking that right elbow. On this top set here, it was a little slow, but I was trying really hard just not to let it get imbalanced, and I also set up way too close to my rack there, so I couldn't push back on any of those reps, so I was kind of forced to misgroove every single rep in that set. So I'm actually really happy that it went up for the 5th rep and didn't get ridiculously lopsided like I have a tendency to do. Am also focusing on building up some of that shoulder strength with some close grip seated overhead press, starting out nice and light, adding volume over time for these, and hopefully a few weeks in I'll be able to get to a good volume range where I can start adding some weight to the bar. But the focus right now is not going to be on weight move. The focus right now is going to be on clean repetitions, getting more and more volume and building those bases up, and kind of building some mental toughness and just killing any ego that I allowed to pop back up in that last training block. It's something that when you think you have it figured out, when you think you've got it down, it tends to show itself up again. It can be really frustrating to have to kill that tendency, but that is one of the keys to success in creating progress in the long run. I'm a big proponent of that grind mentality where you just put your head down, dig in, and just work through the frustration. So thank you guys again for the constant support and all of the stuff. It really does, it's appreciated by me, and it really does mean a lot to see that. I'm going to start putting in some of my the training write-ups at the end of my videos. It takes a little bit more work to do them, but it does keep me consistent and accountable in placing those up there too. So it really does help me with my training. So yeah, that's kind of how things are looking. I got 2 more sessions this week, and I will try to get them each their own videos. We'll see how that goes. But wherever you're at, I hope that you are having a great day, and thanks again. So I will talk to you very soon. Goodbye.